Hey, so welcome to the video. My name is Rubin. I'm a transformational coach, and what we're gonna do today is I'm gonna review this book for you, Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's an incredible book. I think it can have a big impact on your life. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna talk high level, what's the method laid out in this book, what's the science behind it, and how you can benefit from it if you do in fact read it and implement the strategies contained in this book. Okay, so let's not waste any time, let's go. So if you're new to this channel, just a heads up, this channel is dedicated to overcoming social anxiety so that you can thrive at your job, you can have deep, meaningful relationships, and that you can feel happy and worthy of living a good life. So if that's something you struggle with, consider hitting that subscribe button and the bell notification beside it so that you can be notified of when I release helpful videos just like this one. If not, it's okay, stick around. We're gonna do a really deep dive on this book, Atomic Habits, in just a second. And another reason I wanted to open it up is because if you're watching this video and if you're a part of this community, you are ambitious, you're driven, you are chasing after your goals, and so you have to have good habits. You have to have discipline. Your physical and your mental health depend on having good habits. I'm also a huge proponent of reading. You cannot grow as much as you want to unless you become an avid reader. Leaders are reader. I read at least 30 minutes a day. And as the great French philosopher René Descartes, I hope I didn't butcher that, says, reading good books is like engaging in a conversation with the most cultivated minds of past centuries. And I truly believe that's the case. All right, so let's get back to the book here. Let's get back to this book. One of the reasons I really like this book, and it's not your typical self-help where it tries to motivate you and then you fall off. It addresses that issue. It addresses why things like your willpower and motivation, they're just overrated and they don't work at the end of the day. And in order to demonstrate that, it goes through the 3 layers of behavioral change, the 3 factors that are absolutely needed to have permanent behavioral changes. So on the outermost layer of the onion, if you will, on the outermost layer is results. So for example, you want to lose weight. The results I want to lose 20 or 30 pounds, and I want to look great, I want to be fit. There's the results, there's the outermost layer. Underneath that layer is the process to get you there. The process, so for example, you're gonna have a dieting protocol, you're gonna have an exercise protocol that you have to follow, a system or a process that you have to follow in order to achieve those results. And on the innermost layer of the onion is your identity, your beliefs, and this is actually the most important layer. And so what James Clear does is he distinguishes between outcome-based habits, so the outermost layer of the onion, and identity-based habits. And this is extremely important if you want long-lasting change. Because what most people do, and you've probably experienced this at some point in your life, where you want to implement something, you want to keep motivation, or you want to break a bad habit, but you end up falling off the wagon. The reason that is because most people, what they do is they go at this outer layer of the onion. They go straight for the behavior or the results. They want that 30 pounds off. They want it off, and then so what do? They set the target, and then they implement a process. So they get an exercise plan, diet plan in order to achieve those results. Why? Because they feel like if they lose that weight, they're going to feel better about themselves, okay? So they're under the impression that they don't feel good about themselves because of the weight gain. Now, the problem with these outcome-based habits is they don't address the self-esteem that's underpinning absolutely everything, or the lack of self-worth that may be driving that entire dynamic. And trust me, this is coming from somebody who's done every single diet, fitness, CrossFit, bodybuilding, all the dieting protocols, keto, intermittent fasting, carb cycling, strict bodybuilding cuts, measuring out your food and chicken and potatoes 6 times a day, and walking around with my protein shakes and my containers and everything. I've been down that exact path. It does absolutely nothing to change how the way you feel inside. And I want to demonstrate to you why that is through this example here. So let's say we have an individual who absolutely hates their body. Like my body, I have an absolutely disgusting body. I'm absolutely ashamed of their body. Those are the beliefs that form their identity, okay? So at the very core, they have this shame around their body, and now what that's going to do is that innermost core influences, remember it's identity, process, and then results, okay? So that inner core is going to affect the process that individual implements. So for example, hardcore dieting, hardcore exercise to the point where they're just beating themselves up. Nope, I can't see anybody. I'm completely focused on this goal right now. I gotta lose the weight off. I gotta look good. I gotta feel good about myself. Constantly exhausted, depleted from all of this exercise and this dieting. And then what happens is, yeah, they might lose the weight and they might lose it, pretty quickly if they do. But again, let's say the weight comes off, it's not gonna change how the way they feel. Let's say they've been shamed a whole lot because of their weight or the way they look their whole lives. They've been bullied for it. That bullying is still going on inside of them. And you see this in the fitness industry, right? A lot of people, you'll see the bodybuilders that, they got bullied and then they got super jacked, but when they look in the mirror, they're still that, skinny little kid that's getting picked on inside. So it hasn't shifted their overall identity and their beliefs about themselves. And right away, you might be feeling some resistance inside, right? Yeah, but if I don't go after that goal, I'm just gonna be lazy, I'm just gonna be a couch potato. That's simply not the case. I wanna show you another way here. So let's say we take somebody who absolutely appreciates their body. Their body's like their best friend. It's been with them their whole lives. It's gotten them to where they are now. They absolutely have the utmost gratitude for their body. It's like their best friend. Now, if you were that person that absolutely cherishes their body, you're gonna implement a different process. So for example, you're not gonna go extreme dieting, you're not gonna go extreme exercise, but you're still going to exercise, you're still going to take care of yourself, okay? That person is going to say no to the junk food because I cherish my body. So even though they're not going so hardcore, they still have this process that manifests from these beliefs where they take care of themselves, they're gonna go exercise and have fun with it at least, they're gonna enjoy themselves through the process, and ultimately they're gonna lose the weight, even though it might take a little longer. But here's the kicker, the changes are going to be permanent. Why? Because they shifted the beliefs. I'm the type of person, for example, let's look at the contrast here. On this end, I'm the type of person who cherishes my body. I absolutely love my body. I'm so blessed, fortunate to have this body, and this is who I am. I'm just somebody who just takes care of myself. That's who I am, that's my identity. Over here, the identity is, I hate my body. I need to lose this weight. I'm doing this thing so that I can lose this weight, okay? So if I lose this weight, I'm not gonna get picked on and bullied anymore. Do you see how the identity is completely different? So that's something that's extremely important to keep in mind. That goal, that if you're chasing that external thing in order to seek approval or be perceived a certain way, it's not going to lead to happiness. Whereas on the flip side, if the goal is to transform into the person you want to become, okay? A complete identity shift, to have a completely set of different beliefs about yourself that, remember, increases your self-esteem and addresses that self-worth issue, okay? That is the ultimate goal, and to transform into that future version of yourself. And if you can do that, you're going to implement the appropriate processes and the results will take care of themselves. All right, so I want to get into some of the methods that he lays out in this book here. Now, just a heads up, if you can't shift your identity, you find that no matter what you try, and you got more serious anxiety, general anxiety, social anxiety, destructive impulsivity, compulsivity, addictions issues, this isn't the book. This isn't the book for you, okay? It could help on a more superficial level, okay? But don't beat yourself up if this isn't helping with more deeper psychological issues. And I talk about this in another video, having a ruptured or a splintered identity. So one part of you really wants to move towards these goals, but no matter what you try, another part of you pulls you in the other direction, and you keep falling off the wagon. I talk about that in another video. I'm gonna link that up at the end of the video, so be sure to stick around for that. Now let's get into the method here. Essentially, what is a habit? So a habit is something, an action that you perform, a decision you make, every single day, over and over, repeatedly. Now, what are the components of a habit? There's cue, craving, response, reward. Okay, so we'll just keep going with the eating habit here. Cue is, let's say you watch a TV show or you see a bag of chips in the cupboard. There's the cue. You just got cued off and you see the chips. Now you get a craving. Now what do? Your brain starts, or your mind starts churning. You're envisioning eating the chips. You have this craving, or maybe you see like a burger on the TV and you start craving this food. Because when the cravings start, you're gonna have certain thoughts and feelings running through you, and those are gonna move you towards taking the action to eat the bag of chips. So the response is you go and you eat the bag of chips. Reward is you feel satisfied. Let's say you down the whole bag, you feel completely satisfied, you're not craving chips anymore. So it goes cue, craving, response, reward, and you can actually hack these individual phases of the behavior in a way that best serves you and that sets you up for success to either implement a new habit or eliminate a bad one. So one of the things that James Clear talks about or suggests in the cue phase, right? Seeing that bag of chips, obviously the important thing to do is make it invisible, he says. So remove the chips from the house, okay? Remove all the junk food. You don't even see it. It's out of sight, it's out of mind. It's not even gonna cue you off. You're not gonna have that cue, which is not gonna kick off the cravings after the fact. Now, if you want to implement something, for example, if you're watching this channel, you probably want to start journaling a lot more. Journaling is one of the most powerful personal development tools you can have, but it's extremely hard to stick with, right? So if you want to implement a habit, what you can do is you need to have a cue for it. And so what James Clear says is to make it obvious. Set a time and a location for that habit to take place. So for example, when I was trying to start journaling, I would do it for a couple of days and fall off, a couple of days fall off. But when I set it, before I can eat breakfast, before I do anything in the morning, I journal, okay? And the same thing at nighttime. Before I can watch TV, before I can do anything, I have to journal. I have a set time and location. Okay, so that's the cue. It's a very obvious thing. So now when I go before I hit the pillow in bed at nighttime, so when I go when I'm winding down and I get into bed, all of a sudden I feel, whoa, there's something off here. It's so ingrained into me when I'm in that location that I need, at the end of the day, that I need to be journaling. As soon as I wake up, it's so ingrained into me. As soon as I wake up, time and location, first thing in the morning, I'm gonna be journaling. So that's an obvious cue. You wanna make it very obvious. So the second phase of behavior is craving. So for example, the chips, right? Let's go back. You have the chips. As soon as you get cued off, as soon as you start thinking about it, you get this craving. Why? Because it's associated with satisfaction. It's associated with good taste. It's associated with feeling good. And that is what makes it so attractive. So what you have to do is make it unattractive. And so let's say you're working through an addiction, for example, say it's alcohol. What you can do is you can actually see the drink through, what they call see the drink through. So you envision, you have the craving for the drink, but you go past that. So you have the drink, and what does that do? Maybe it leads to a few more drinks, getting too drunk, too intoxicated. It leads to feeling completely ashamed after. It leads to a bunch of drama at the end of the night. It leads to a bunch of friction in your relationships. So you not only see yourself having the drink, but you envision the aftermath. So you make it, again, unattractive. And that'll help you. Every time that craving comes up, you associate it with that negative impact that it has. Now, if it's on the flip side, let's say it's for journaling, craving, journaling, at first it might seem like such a pain in the ass. It might seem like such a chore, okay? So what you can do, for example, is you could join, I'm sure there's online groups or communities that you can join that are into journaling or a certain type of journaling. And then that way, you're able to celebrate things with the groups, journaling for a certain amount of days, or celebrating wins, celebrating the positive changes that you've noticed after journaling, and you're part of this community. So now when it comes to journaling, it's associated with something positive. So you're making it attractive. And that's something you can do if you want to implement a habit that you're having trouble getting off the ground. So the next phase is the response, which is actually just doing the behavior, like you're going and eating the chips, for example. And the most important thing here that James Clear that he suggests is to increase friction or increase the steps in order to attain that thing that you want. So for example, the chips, if you don't have chips in the house, okay, you have to walk to the store, you have to drive to the store, you have to go somewhere to get them. There's more steps involved in order to attain that thing that you want. So it allows you to take a moment to think like, do I really want to go all the way to the store to get these chips? Whereas if it's in the cupboard, you just go grab them, right? There's not enough barriers that you need to work through in order to get the chips. And you can dial this up or dial it down according to what you need. Let's say you have a partner or a friend or a sibling or a parent, and you set a rule, you set an agreement with them that you can only use your credit card. You have to call them beforehand or send them a text, okay? So now the chips are at the store, they're not in the house, the chips are at the store, and now you have to send a text or call, your accountability partner, if you will. You have to let them know that you're gonna buy the chips. Are you really gonna go through with it? In your mind, you might be thinking, man, this is too much trouble. I just don't even want it, okay? So you can kind of see how friction decreases the likelihood that you're gonna go and get that junk food. And on the other hand, let's say we're going back to the journaling, if we wanna implement it, right? We wanna reduce the friction, so make it extremely easy to do. So for example, going back to the time and the location, right when I get up and before bed, I actually have my journal right on my bedside table. So it's really easy. As soon as I open my eyes, I see it there, okay? And that reduces the steps. But for example, let's say I woke up and I know it's time, but I don't know where the journal is. I don't know where it is. I don't feel like looking for it. I'm just gonna start brushing my teeth. You know what? I'm just gonna brush my teeth, and then, you know what? Maybe I'll just start getting ready instead. Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna have some breakfast, and then, before you know it, you break the habit and you're not journaling, okay? So it's really important to reduce that friction, make it extremely, extremely convenient as possible to start the activity. So for example, when I go running in the morning, my clothes are out, they're ready to rock, they're right in front of me. As soon as I roll out of bed, there's a bit of a bench in front of our bed. They're sitting on there, my socks are ready, my clothes are ready, and I'm just ready to walk out the door. Whereas, sometimes when I get up, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I'm thinking, oh, I don't know, like, where are all the clothes? And I'm gonna go searching for them. Maybe that makes or breaks, me sleeping in and not going for the run. Okay, so the last phase of the behavior is reward. Okay, so you have to make it, when you take part in that behavior, it has to feel good after, or it has to feel bad. So satisfying or unsatisfying. So let's go back to the chips, right? If you add in an accountability partner where you're gonna meet up with them at the end of the week and you're gonna have to disclose exactly what you ate, how many times you fell off, all the junk food, if you're gonna have to tell them, that's a really unpleasant experience. Us humans are very motivated to not look bad in front of other people, okay? So you have this accountability partner, and let's say it's Tuesday, you're gonna meet up with him on Friday and you're gonna have to tell him. You're way more unlikely to go and fall off the wagon and start diving into that junk food, okay? Because you have accountability. You have other humans holding you accountable and holding you to a higher standard. And again, remember, you take that willpower out of it. I don't have to use my absolute willpower because I got something outside of myself that's keeping me accountable. And then on the other hand, the journaling, you have to make it satisfying. So remember, we talked about earlier about maybe joining, a group or a community where you can actually celebrate it. Oftentimes what you can do is, if you do the journaling, reward yourself after, okay? So if I do the journaling, I can go out and get a smoothie after, my favorite smoothie. Or I can go out and get my favorite pastry. Or at the end of the week, if I journal for a week straight, I can go out and buy myself something nice. Reward yourself, and don't underestimate how important this really is, okay? If you don't reward yourself, your brain's not gonna make the association, the positive association that views that behavior or that habit, that response, remember the actual journaling, as a positive thing. It's not associated with positive feelings, and it won't last, okay? So this is extremely, extremely important. And so it really is about identity-based habits. That's the key takeaway here. If you can take anything from this video, implement identity-based habits in order to become the person you want to become. There's so many hacks as we talked about: cue, craving, response, reward. You can engineer and make adjustments in every phase of that behavior in order to set yourself up for success. And again, if you got more severe psychological, emotional, obviously this is a channel dedicated to social anxiety. So if you got more severe psychological and emotional issues going on, implement this, but just know that if things aren't sticking, you're gonna have to take a much deeper look at the emotional and psychological drivers of that whole thing. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want any other books reviewed by me or my opinions on any books that you're reading or thinking about reading, just comment that below. Let me know what books you want me to get into. And if you need some closer support, what you can do is follow me on Instagram or join my Facebook group. I'll link both links below the video. And here's that other video I was talking about that talks about when you have that ruptured identity and one aspect of you is going one way and another part's going the other way, and you feel completely polarized and conflicted inside, okay? So thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.